nobody who is different to us should be considered an idiot. We have the knowledge now and the understanding to adapt based on who we are dealing with in every single occasion.
Our first episode is idiots everywhere.
Of course.
Is this feeling that we have as professionals and as business owners that sometimes we cannot communicate with people. Sometimes we feel that we talk to them and they don't understand.
I cannot get the message across. I give instructions to my team members and they do not respond. They tell me I have understood and they have really understood nothing from the instructions.
This is very common. How can we navigate through our way to our daily operations and work and everything?
Life. We always tend to believe that we are right and the other people are wrong. Is that really the case?
Welcome to another episode of Socialcast. Now, today we're introducing a new series. We call it The Mind Gap. Along with Andrew Penda. That's
Hello.
again. Hi, how are you?
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Now I'm not the host. We're doing a co-podcast to discuss various issues that matter to business owners and professionals.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the Mind Gap because we believe that in this half hour we can give some information and some knowledge that it will bridge some gaps, yes, in the mind.
Definitely, yes. We are aiming to give knowledge and understanding to people in order to support them to enhance soft skills and generally business skills and get them into a more appropriate and fit position to manage relationships with other people.
Just a note that we're starting in English. We need to note this because we aim for an international audience.
For sure.
And the language of business, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And our first episode is idiots everywhere.
Of course.
Is this feeling that we have as professionals and as business owners that sometimes we cannot communicate with people. Sometimes we feel that we talk to them and they don't understand. And we really try to explain what we're trying to say and they don't understand. And we have this feeling of, is he an idiot? Is she an idiot? So there is an explanation behind this, yes?
Of course.
And it's based on the personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And based on, there are a lot of methods that analyze the idiots that we have around us. But it's a really good way to evaluate the personalities and understand where they are coming from and how you can approach them. But I will give you the stage to explain a little bit about this method and why do we see idiots everywhere. And how can we navigate through our way to our daily operations and work and everything?
Life, of course.
And life.
Well, the thing is that I am often approached by people that I train, especially in leadership groups, telling me things like, I cannot get the message across. I give instructions to my team members and they do not respond. They tell me I have understood and they have really understood nothing from the instructions.
This is very common.
This is very common. But the thing is that we always tend to believe that we are right and the other people are wrong. Is that really the case?
I don't believe so. Mm-hmm. Because if you say the same thing to many people and they don't understand, it's probably your fault. So I've been through, and if you really get the science, you see here the colors, yes?
Indeed. This is actually leading us to where the conversation should go today.
Yeah, and I'm just, because maybe you don't have a good image, it's blue, green, yellow, and red. So we're going to talk about personalities based on the DISC method, yes?
Yes,
That separates personalities and people in 4 categories.
Indeed.
The reds, the blues, the greens, and the yellows.
indeed.
And each personality have different traits, yes, and different behaviors.
True.
And when you really understand this, it's a game changer, I believe, because you can adapt yourself. But please,
Okay.
let us know, because just to mention that Andrew is a master trainer in HR, and is an expert in the field. So Andrew is the expert. I'm just the co-host here, and I will talk about my experience and the knowledge that I have as a professional that I wanted to get to become a better professional. So Andrew is the one that will give us the details.
Excellent. Thank you. So, we will really analyze one of the personality analysis methods or models. It is called DISC because of the initials of each personality type. We are basically referring to behavioral styles, actually.
Okay.
So, DISC is a model that is used to identify the behavioral styles and the communication preferences of different
Of each style.
people. What does it really give me as information?
What this stands for? Just for
Dominant. The initials are actually referring to the 4 behavioral styles, and they are color coded. So DISC is explained as follows. D is the dominant, thus red type of personality.
Okay.
I is the influencing, the yellow one.
All right.
S is the submissive, so is the green personality type. And the C is the cautious, thus the blue personality type. This tool was invented back in the 1920s by somebody called Dr. William Marston. He is also the person who created Wonder Woman. Have you watched Wonder Woman, the
Yes,
comics?
yes.
Okay. He used to
I'm
be
not
a
a
professor.
fan, but I'm aware of.
Yeah. His life became actually a story. They went to the movies because of the way he created this model of recording or identifying the preferences in the communication style and engagement between different people.
Okay. And he created Wonder Woman.
He created Wonder Woman as well.
Okay.
So he's the one who is behind this DISC personality.
He's the founder. He's the
Model. He's the inventor.
The inventor, yes.
But there are other personality recording models, type models, such as the MBTI or HBDI, and many more. These tools are basically assisting us in identifying the way that other people behave more appropriately, or the way that I should adapt my own approach in order to be able to communicate more effectively with the red personality types, the yellow personality types, the blue personality types, and the green personality types.
Can you give us a brief analysis of each color so we get more familiar before we go into more details?
Of course. May I ask you, based on what you read, what is your personality type?
I am confused. Is there a possibility that I have a little bit of everything? Or I'm a little bit of more red in some situations and a little bit of more blue in other situations? Is that the case, or
Okay.
yes?
Let me explain.
Because I believe I believe I was blue
Okay.
before,
Before when?
Before COVID, before like between until 2020, let's say.
And then what happened?
A big shift happened, but I believe now I'm more red, yellow.
Ooh, that's quite interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Statistics say, information, data, says that somebody cannot be in the middle of the model. So somebody cannot really be a combination of the red and blue and green and yellow.
Not the same time.
Okay. The information we have at the
but
moment...
you can adapt in situations over time.
You can.
Not like now and in 2 minutes, but now and in 6 months, if the situation bring me, I can become green.
Okay.
Yes?
Well, the information that we have is that people are born with a dominant personality style, a behavioral style, if you would like me to clarify. What happens is that we tend to change this personality type based on the environment and
people around us.
People, situation, pressure that's happening at a specific moment in time in our environment, in our world. What doesn't change is the dominant personality type. So, for instance, if you're a blue, and I will explain in a minute what each personality type stands for. If you're a blue, chances are that your personality type, which is blue, will dominate the majority of your time. What will happen though is that during stressful situations, you will expose, you will communicate, you will get out there, you will bring out there the extreme behaviors of the blue personality. And let us start by examining the blue personality. And
first,
you can,
yes, and then we examine the other personalities.
of course,
the other three. Okay.
But we are starting from your personality type based on what you believe it is. A blue personality type is somebody who is overcautious. It is somebody who tends to overanalyze information. They need a lot of data in order to make a decision. This decision could be very, very lengthy. Let me give you an example. I used to have a coachee. Let's call her Maria. And she was about to buy a car, an SUV.
Okay.
She visited every dealer on the island, testing all cars belonging in the same
category.
budget that she had set with the same characteristics.
Okay.
Do you know how long this process took?
1 year?
Take another guess.
2 years?
Take another guess.
6 months?
5 years.
5 years?
It took her 5 years testing and driving and analyzing all the data about the car that she wanted to buy. You know what happened? Can you guess?
She bought the first one that she did.
The model was withdrawn. And then she began the process all over again.
Oh my God.
So this is how blue personality types tend to behave. They tend to be very slow in decision.
But this is a very extreme situation, yes? But they behave like this on everything?
They tend to be the analytical types. They tend to be the members of the family who are slow in moving forward. They tend to be the members of organizations that hold the accounting roles, the engineering roles, the IT roles. They need data in order to move forward. They need justification.
I wasn't blue.
So you weren't blue?
No.
Did you not take a personality test? I thought you...
I did.
Okay, and...
maybe something happened, I don't know. I was more blue.
You were more blue?
Yes.
Okay.
But maybe back then, because I was juggling a lot of things that was out of my scope, like technical analytics, IT. I was behind everything. I couldn't let anything go. I mean, I couldn't let anything happen without me overseeing it, analyzing it, understanding it, etc. So maybe that's why this went out as a result. The blue.
If you take the test in different times in your life, you may get different results. We tend to adopt characteristics of various personality types at different stages of our lives and under different circumstances. What cannot happen is that we cannot be a combination of everything, a rainbow.
At the same time. We tend to adopt characteristics of other colors based on specific situations. But I believe when you take the DISC test, at the end, it gives you like you are 60% blue, 20% red, 10%. Isn't that the result? Or?
Well, depending on the kind of DISC test that you take, there are various versions of it.
That's what I took.
Okay. You tend to get a clear understanding of what's your dominant color and what's your supplementary, complementary color. The thing is that what is the effort that I need to make and how much is expected of me in order to be able to adopt characteristics of another personality type. And this is the issue here. If I am a blue, an analytical type of person, and I am expected by my boss to be more fast-paced and to be able to communicate the results that I create on my balance sheet to a board of directors, I might not be very comfortable doing that. And I might need to take an extra step forward and be a bit uncomfortable in this effort.
So, do we hire based on personalities or based on skills?
Well, you tell me. How do you hire? Do you hire based on personality or based on skills?
Both.
Okay.
Both, but I don't ask them to make a DISC test or a personality test to really understand if they are blue, red, or green. So do I have to do it as a hiring manager or as a business owner?
Of course. Many companies do that. We have clients all over the world who request from us that we take their newly hired employees through the process of recording and identifying and recording the personality types of the people that they're hiring in order for them to know what role would these people be best at. And this is a very logical and healthy strategy, actually, because it's best if you know what drives every person based on their personality traits
than their skills,
than what you believe is best for them.
Yes.
Shall we analyze the other colors as well?
Yes.
What would you like us to analyze next?
Let's go for the red.
Okay. Why the red?
Because I believe I become really red.
What do you think are the characteristics of the red personality?
In simple language, strict, dominant, doesn't accept no for an answer, pushes people.
Okay. Have you seen yourself be driven towards those behaviors lately?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The red personality types are quite interesting people. They are those who are quite direct. They can be rude sometimes. They are aggressive. They dominate the place where they are or the discussion. They tend to be the minority on a global level. So we don't have that many red personalities at a global scale.
Okay.
They tend to be quite competitive. They are fast decision makers. they do not analyze facts or data before they make a decision. So sometimes their decisions can be driven by emotion.
By instinct
Or emotion, which doesn't always work very well. On the other hand, could red personality types be best at entrepreneurship roles, CEO roles, leadership roles?
Okay.
What do you think?
That makes sense.
Does it make sense?
Sometimes, okay, I'm trying really hard not to be rude, not to break relationships based on my reaction. So I'm trying hard to do that. So maybe I should let go and then just say, it's my personality. And
should you do that?
I don't know.
Well, shouldn't you use that information to adapt to the other kind of personality that you have standing in front of you?
I believe so. Maybe I'm doing this. So as a manager or as a business owner, like running a team, having a team to lead, do you adjust? And do you also, I will make two questions. And do you place people in a team based on their personality so they match?
Okay. Answer to question number 1. Do you adjust? Being a leader, if we are talking about the leader of a business, requires from you, to be adaptive, to be able to find the tools and the means to motivate every single personality. It's your responsibility to make sure that you communicate clearly your expectations, the tasks.
Okay.
So you do adapt. And you do adapt at every level, having at your hands this kind of information.
And answer to question 2?
And please remind me, what was question 2?
Do you place people, professionals in a team based on their personality type?
That would be ideal.
Ideal, yes.
This isn't always the case. I was training a company, the leadership team of a company who is a player in the technology industry. And when the people took the personality test during the training,
they were all red.
Well, no, actually no. Reds are rare among groups. One lady who I hadn't heard her voice throughout the training, she raised her hand and she said, "Oh my God, I'm green." And I said, "Okay. Now it makes sense." And I said, "What makes sense?" "Well, in my role, I am requested to serve clients behind the desk, behind the till, 8 hours a day." And I said, "Okay, and what's the problem with that?" She said, "Well, I go home and I feel drained." And I said, "Okay." She said, "Well, it makes sense. I am a green personality type, and being with people for very many hours a day, being exposed and being expected to communicate does not make me feel comfortable." So the ideal scenario would be for companies to combine different personality colors, types, styles.
We analyze red and blue, yes? What is green?
And this is the chance to talk about the submissive type of person. The S. So Dr. William Marston created the green personality type based on the his own hypothesis, that people are happier when they are submissive to a loving authority. And this is how he explained it. A loving authority for him was somebody who will lead the way you behave and the way that you live your life. The green people are those who are mostly calm. They are those who bring balance among teams. They are those that diffuse conflicts at home. They are those that they take everything inside. And
They don't easily express themselves.
They don't. They burn inside.
Okay.
They take everything inside without expressing their negative feelings very often. So they tend to burst at unexpected times. So they may not say anything for 6 months if they feel
Okay.
negatively
No, makes sense.
in an environment, and then out of the blue they will explode. And you are wondering what happened. So the green personality types are those that tend to work better on their own. They tend to be more comfortable behind scenes. They tend to be best at supportive roles instead of leading roles. However, we have seen, of course, very successful leaders who are green. Theory says that they tend to suffer more than other personality
Because
types
they don't express
because
their
they're not
feelings.
comfortable with being exposed, with communicating openly, with getting into conflict, with being aggressive, with being assertive sometimes.
Okay. And let's go analyze yellow as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then give us some examples of how do you communicate a message, if you do that, I believe you do, to a red and a green and a blue and a yellow.
Excellent.
So people understand how do you adapt.
Mm-hmm.
So what is yellow?
Okay. Yellow is the person who is mostly outgoing. They are those people that enjoy attention. They are those people that invest very much in building relationships. They are those people who tend to influence positively the people around them. They are those people who are not very direct. They are using positive comments in order to cultivate relationships with other people and be liked.
So I'm yellow as well.
Possibly.
Okay.
I
need to take the personality test again.
You have to.
More seriously. So yes, how do you give us some examples?
Okay.
So
Red.
We don't have idiots around us again.
Following this session, this podcast, people should know, everybody, anyone watching, should know that nobody who is different to us should be considered an idiot. We have the knowledge now and the understanding to adapt based on who we are dealing with in every single occasion. So, quickly, red ones, they need instructions very, very fast, very, very clearly. They get upset when you tell them, let me analyze this and let me think over it and let me decide, and I will come back to you sometime by next month. They get very anxious.
Very, very red.
They get very, very red. That's why we do not, the model of having two red people working together is not very effective. They tend to come into friction.
So let's say a red manager goes to a green employee and says, how was the performance of our marketing campaign last week? How the green responds?
Firstly, let me clarify that the green people are feeling exposed in the eyes of the red personalities. They suffer sometimes because red are very direct and the green are the total opposite of the red personalities. Therefore,
so even by just say good morning, they feel exposed.
They may feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
And
how do we fix this?
We need to adapt to their own understanding and preferable way of communicating. So in the case of the green people, they need calm information. They need time to themselves. They need clear instructions. Yes.
Okay.
So if you're very in a rushed mode and you give instructions very fast and you're stressed, they immediately adopt and absorb all of that negative energy and stress, but they do not communicate it. So it fills them inside, it fuels them inside with a negativity and anxiety that they are not able to express.
Okay, which may, for the red one, is not anxiety. It's just the way he or she communicates.
This is the way that they operate.
Yeah, they feel that they have 30 seconds to ask for the report, and they just say, Andre, please send me the report of last week.
Now.
And ASAP.
Now.
Now.
The middle word of the red personality is fast. Now. Yesterday. Everything is an urgency for red people. They walk fast, they eat fast, they talk fast, they want everything yesterday. Whereas green people would like communication in a more calm manner. They would like to be appreciated, respected, spoken to in a slower mode, in a lower pace. What happens with blue, though? You need to be very precise in the way that you communicate information to them. You need to be to the point, analytical, give them time to think, to reflect, and to come back to you. So when you're giving instructions to the blue personalities, you have to be able to justify whatever you're saying. You need to provide facts. You need to provide information, data, and be able to argue and defend your case.
And yellow, really quickly, and we have to close it.
Of course, yellow people, they need attention. They need positive comments. They need a friendly tone. So you begin any conversation with yellow people by discussing the weather, how they're feeling, how was yesterday for them, how was their vacation, telling them compliments about how they look or how the makeup looks good on them, and then discussing what's the matter at hand.
All right, I believe we just touched the surface. This can go very, very, very deep.
Yeah.
Let's give some information to our audience, what books they can get or what other information they can get to go a little bit deeper, because now that I listen to you, I got a bit confused. Sometimes I see myself red, sometimes I see myself blue, sometimes I see myself yellow. And I told you before, maybe it's because I have a few roles at the moment. But this is not should be the case, because you see many.
It can be the case.
Yes, but you see many business owners that have three companies, or they are in boards of other companies. That doesn't mean they get confused. Yes, or maybe they get confused as well, and they don't express it.
It is totally normal for you to take on one hat and put another one hat off. When you're in a social situation, you will be expected to behave in a more yellow manner than in a red manner. When you're leading a board meeting, you are expected to be wearing the red hat more than anything else.
If you're the president of the board.
For instance.
Or whatever, yes, okay. So, now we don't have idiots everywhere.
There's a great book called Surrounded by Idiots, and this is actually one book that explains thoroughly what the DISC personality tool is and what the different colors mean.
Of personalities mean, yeah?
Yeah.
And I believe it gives you resources on where to go and take the test by yourself, yes?
Well, if you Google DISC, D-I-S-C personality test online, you will get very many versions in any language of the DISC personality test, and you can get a clearer understanding of what am I really? There are people who are very straightforward on what's their own personality type. Others tend to be more adaptive based on the situation that they have at hand.
And the biggest challenge is, other than to understand what you really are, is to quickly understand what the other people are and adapt.
And that requires EQ, emotional intelligence, in order to be able to understand who am I dealing with and what approach should I adopt in order to bring the best possible outcome out of this person.
Nice. Thank you very much, Andre.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
We, as promised, we kept it simple, I believe, and short. In 30 minutes, we tried to explain this very, very deep matter and issue. Idiots Everywhere, our first attempt to a new series of podcasts, The Mind Gap. Let us know in the comments if you like it, if you enjoy it. It's better in the comments here on YouTube or on Facebook or where you are, other than calling us. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Orestes. I enjoyed our discussion once again. Thank you for having me.